Your next Disney World trip could become disastrous if you don't watch out for these major mistakes before you go. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. The DFB team and I have put our heads together to compile a complete list of what we believe are the worst mistakes you're going to want to avoid in Disney World to make sure you never have to experience them firsthand for yourself. Ready to throw these mistakes in the garbage and never look back? All right, let's do this. First up, this is a really easy mistake to make, and it could absolutely destroy your trip. Don't assume that Disney transportation runs 24/7. This makes me cringe big time. During my last trip, I was taking an Uber over to Epcot, and my Uber driver, as friendly and well-meaning as all get out, reminded me that Disney transportation runs 24/7. And my stomach just sank because how many other people had he told this information to? As awesome as it would be for Disney transportation to always be around and available, according to the Disney website, bus service generally operates from 45 minutes before a theme park opening time until 1 hour after a theme park closing time. Meanwhile, the Resort Monorail and Express Monorail begin operating 30 minutes prior to when Magic Kingdom Park opens and stop 1 hour after Magic Kingdom Park closes, while the Epcot Monorail begins operating 30 minutes prior to when Epcot opens and stops 2 hours after Epcot closes. And when it comes to the Skyliner, these little gondolas are available each day 1 hour before early theme park entry begins at Epcot or Disney's Hollywood Studios, and close each day 90 minutes after Epcot or Disney's Hollywood Studios closes. Note that this does not necessarily mean after hours events. So if you've got an after hours or Jollywood Nights or any one of those other kind of extended evening events, definitely ask cast members when that Skyliner is going to close, because I've been caught in that problem before and had to take buses. So let's say you drive to Magic Kingdom. The park is slated to close at 9 p.m. that day, but you wind up taking a Disney bus over to the Boardwalk Inn to hang out at Jelly Rolls until 11:30. By the time you're finished partying the night away, you might not be able to take a bus back to Magic Kingdom to get to the Transportation and Ticket Center if Disney World transportation is finished for the night. In this case, you might be stuck paying for a rideshare service just to return to your car. Disney World transportation can be deceiving, so don't assume you can rely on it 24/7. Make sure to plan ahead so you know exactly where you're going and how you're going to get around property without all the extra stress. And don't make this mobile order mistake. When mobile ordering your meal through the My Disney Experience app, you'll be asked to select an expected time for pickup. But what happens when you don't arrive during your expected time window? Well, we found out the hard way. On a recent visit to the Disney World parks, we had this very situation happen to one of our reporters. We placed an order at a quick service location, but time got away from us. And while we were standing around waiting for our order, we forgot to press the I'm here button, which is what lets the kitchen know they can actually start making your order for you. Now, during this particular occurrence, our arrival window ended at 11 a.m. and when we went to alert the app that we were here, it was just a little bit past time. But don't worry, there's a happy ending to this story. We were still able to recover our meal when we showed the cast members at the register our order number, and they were able to manually fix it and went on to prepare our meal for pickup. But for future reference, if you think you're cutting it close to your own mobile order time frame window, go into the mobile order and modify the time frame to give yourself a bit more time so this doesn't happen to you too. It's also a good idea to set yourself an alarm to remind you that, hey, you need to go and head on back to the quick service you mobile ordered from and let them know you've arrived as well. There are a lot of Disney rides with a ton of hype around them, and that means the wait times can get real scary. We've seen Rise of the Resistance, for example, have a wait time that pushed 5 hours, and that's probably enough to make you go, direct me to the nearest individual Lightning Lane purchase, please, or maybe, nah, no thank you, no ride is worth that. But here's the truth of the matter. These attraction wait times don't typically stay wildly high all day long. You just got to keep an eye on the wait times via your My Disney Experience app so you can know the exact moment when they start to drop down. Lately, Rise of the Resistance seems to be getting much lower wait times near the end of the park day. This is a bit of a risky plan because you can't guarantee that those lines will slow down later on in the day or that it'll even be operational when you try, knowing Rise, but there are other ways you can lessen your wait times too. Take advantage of early theme park entry, for instance, which allows Disney Resort guests to enter the parks 30 minutes before everyone else. This is a good time to try to get on these rides before the rest of the general public can funnel on into them as well. Now, okay, I know I just got done singing the praises of early entry, but this resort benefit can be a blessing and a curse, and I don't want you to make this mistake. In Magic Kingdom, only Tomorrowland and Fantasyland are open for early entry. If you want to ride a ride that is in Adventureland or Frontierland, you'll still need to wait until the park opens for all guests. So don't go racing all the way over to Jungle Cruise just to find it won't be open for another 30 minutes. And for the record, if you're not staying at a Disney World hotel, you'll definitely want to keep those early entry crowds in mind when you rope drop Magic Kingdom. Since Tomorrowland and Fantasyland are both open during early entry, there will already be crowds gathering in both of those areas, so your best option instead might be rope dropping a ride that's not part of the early entry benefit, like Liberty Square, Frontierland, Adventureland, to take advantage of those lower morning crowds. All right, this, as you know, is one of my favorite tips. Stay hydrated, but we're not talking about reusable water bottles this time, though they are important. Or the free quick service water cups, also important. We're talking about the places where you can get free ice water out of a self-serve dispenser to avoid long lines and potentially get some of the best tasting water property-wide. So where are these glorious self-serve water stations hiding? And yes, this is what we do in the parks. We find the best tasting water. In Magic Kingdom, Casey's Corner often has self-serve water dispensers out next to the piano during operating hours. We've also seen dispensers out and about in other parts of the park during the hotter season, though they aren't guaranteed. But in this park, you might want to avoid the really busy quick service restaurants if you're interested in just getting water and going to a snack stand instead, because any stand with a drink machine will be able to make you a cup of water, and the line will likely be shorter. At Epcot, some of the best stops to grab a refreshing cup of H2O are at Spice Road Table, where there's a self-serve dispenser, and at Sunshine Seasons, where the drink machine is open access. At Sunshine Seasons, you'll need to show the people at the register that you just got a cup of water, but it's much quicker than waiting in line for someone to serve you. Hollywood Studios is an absolute treasure trove of self-serve water dispensers. One of our favorites is located inside Baseline Tap House, which is almost always filled with delicious, cold, refreshing water. You can also get your fill at Ronto Roasters during its operating hours, and we've also seen water stations pop up at some other quick service spots on occasion. Hollywood Studios is also home to 2 Joffrey's locations, and if their lines aren't too long, they're a great option for a hydration fix. Last but not least, at Animal Kingdom, the self-serve water options are a bit more limited, but the park is littered with small snack stands that make the perfect quick stop. No excuse to avoid hydrating. All right, attention all annual pass holders, Disney Vacation Club members, and Disney Visa card holders. Disney wants to reward you for sticking by their side, so be sure to take advantage of the discounts and private lounges and special meet and greet opportunities and exclusive merchandise and more that they're constantly offering to these specific membership programs. Here are a couple of examples. Currently, there's a pass holder lounge inside the former restaurant Marrakesh at Epcot's Morocco Pavilion, where annual pass holders can escape the crowds and grab some free snacks and drinks and get a special AP pin and even meet the rare character Genie. This lounge is going to stick around until June 18th. Starting on April 9th, Disney Visa card members were able to apply for a free Disney dining plan for most trips running from July through September and December. This was good for a non-discounted 4-night, 4-day, or longer Disney vacation package with a park hopper ticket option. Disney Vacation Club and annual pass holder members were able to register for early previews of the new Tiana's Bayou Adventure ride in Magic Kingdom before it opens to the general public. And of course, there are lots of discounts constantly being offered to annual pass holders and DVC members all year round to help save money on food and merchandise and hotel stays. And this is only scratching the surface. If you're a member of any of these Disney programs or you're thinking about becoming a member, study up and see what kind of savings and benefits you can take advantage of during your next visit, and don't forget about them. Make use of those benefits, y'all. So the festival season in Epcot this year might be shorter than usual, but that doesn't mean you need to skip over the heart of festival programming, even when a festival isn't going on. Communicore Hall and Plaza officially opened on June 10th, 2024, and was built to bring Epcot's 4 festivals into the heart of the park. Communicore Plaza is an outdoor space where guests can enjoy the festival offerings, while Communicore Hall is flexible enough to host a bunch of different things like food stalls and exhibitions and mixology classes and more. But even when a festival isn't happening, that doesn't mean Communicore goes dark. there are still things to see and do here in the meantime, like listen to live music, meet and greet with Mickey and friends in the character spot, eat at a permanent festival food spot that features festival favorites, dance along with the limited time Celebración Encanto show, or even take a potty break inside the new retro-looking bathrooms, which are accessible from the outside of the Communicore Hall building. You can also just step into the area and appreciate all the sleek and bright artwork while getting some much-needed AC before jumping back into the park. Okay, I am very guilty of this next one. Disney Springs is a buffet of stores. What kinds of stores? All kinds of stores. You got places that sell classic Disney merchandise. You got candle shops and art stores and fancy jewelry places. You can even purchase things strictly for left-handed people. But what if you start off your Disney Springs day purchasing something really, really ginormous? Do you have to leave the Springs and go all the way back to your hotel and drop it off to avoid carrying it around with you all day long? Not necessarily. On the backside of Trend D, located in Disney Springs Marketplace section, you'll find a new shipping post. This is located in the former stroller rental location by the Marketplace Co-op. This small store is pretty nondescript, so it's easy to walk right on by without seeing it, but you can head in here and talk to a cast member if you have something you'd like to ship home, making it a solid option for people who don't want to carry their purchases around all day long, or who've traveled a long way from home, or who won't be able to fit a large souvenir in their luggage. Also, don't forget, you should be able to ship anything home from a Disney-owned shop as well. So as long as you have a SKU number that it was purchased in a Disney-owned shop, you should be able to ship it home, and you have to pay for the cost of shipping, but they'll be able to send it for you. Okay, there's a good chance you might be watching this video when Tiana's Bayou Adventure is open. Though it's not open to the general public just yet, per the release of this video, it's getting ready to open super soon, June 28th. So if you're wanting to increase your chances of getting on this ride during your upcoming visit, here's what you need to know. Tiana's Bayou Adventure will not have a standby line when it first opens. Your only two options to ride this when it first releases will be to get into the virtual queue for it or snag a lightning lane through Disney Genie Plus. Not an individual lightning lane, a regular lightning lane, like the same version that Splash Mountain used to have. Now, the virtual queue for Tiana's Bayou Adventure is accessible via the My Disney Experience app. The queue is going to open at 7 a.m. each morning and again at 1 p.m. each afternoon. However, beginning at 6 a.m., you can tap into the virtual queue early to set and confirm your party. That way, you'll have fewer steps to worry about when boarding groups become available at 7 and 1. Note the virtual queues open at exactly 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. and they can fill up in seconds. So if you really want to be ready to jump into that queue, you're going to need to be in the app and ready to join before the clock strikes either time. And if you go the Genie Plus route instead, lightning lanes also go live right at 7 a.m. So you're going to want to prioritize this selection before all the others to make sure you've got your place in this particular lightning lane secured. It's going to sell out quick. Okay, another really easy mistake to make. Don't assume that all hotels have the same transportation perks. When it comes to the Disney-owned resorts, some hotels get the short end of the stick when it comes to transportation, like our beloved Animal Kingdom Lodge, for example. Sure, this place is gorgeous, and it has some of the best dining options property-wide and the most incredible views. But because it's closest to Animal Kingdom Park, it's pretty far away from everything else, so prepare for some long bus rides. Coronado Springs Resort and each of the All-Star resorts also reside near the Animal Kingdom area and only offer complimentary buses, meaning no monorail, no Skyliner, no boats, no walking paths right up to park gates, none of that. Again, these aren't bad resorts. In other respects, the All-Star hotels are going to be your cheapest resort option, while Coronado Springs has that lovely Gran Destino Tower, which will make you feel like you're staying in a deluxe resort even at its more moderate price point. However, when you stay at these locations, you're losing out when it comes to transportation, which may be a red flag for you. The best hotels for transportation tend to be the ones on the monorail loop that'll quickly get you over to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. Those are Disney's Contemporary Resort, Polynesian Village, and Grand Floridian. And the ones on the Skyliner route, which will quickly get you to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Those are Riviera, Caribbean Beach, Art of Animation Resort, Disney's Pop Century. And then there are the specific Epcot area resorts like Boardwalk Inn, Yacht and Beach Club, Swan and Dolphin, which are within walking distance to Epcot and Hollywood Studios and are in close proximity to the Epcot Skyliner station too. But even if you stay at one of the hotels that only offers bus transportation, that doesn't mean you absolutely 100% have to be at the mercy of the shuttle. You can always drive yourself to the parks since parking will be free for Disney hotel guests, or you can save for a rideshare service like Uber or Lyft or minivans. Now, still on transportation, don't fully trust Disney's boat transportation. Notice how I didn't talk about the Disney Springs boat transportation in the point before this one. There's a reason for that. Over at Port Orleans Riverside and French Quarter, Old Key West, and Saratoga Springs, you can usually get on the Sassagoula steamboat and float your way on down to the shopping district instead of taking a bus over there. However, we've seen this boat transportation down for the count a lot more often lately, leaving guests pretty frustrated that they can't use this hotel perk that should go along with their resort purchase. But why have the boats been down? Well, when the boat transportation isn't running between Springs and the surrounding hotels, it's typically due to an issue with the weather or water levels affecting the ability of the boats to actually float. More often than not, the boats are typically running. However, we recommend tracking the Orlando weather around Disney World leading up to your trip and keeping a close eye on the news we post to be sure there won't be any delays in your current transportation plans. Right around late spring, kind of before the rainy season hits, the Sassagoula can get low and sometimes these boats aren't running. But when they aren't running, the hotels will have complimentary bus transportation still up and available, and driving and ride shares are always an option too for speedier access. Oh, and don't forget about the Saratoga Springs Resort walkway. You can always get to Disney Springs on foot from this resort. It just might be a bit of a trek depending on which building your room is located in. One of our DFB reporters recently experienced a restaurant first, which is pretty shocking since we've been dining in Disney World for decades. But during a recent trip to Crystal Palace in Magic Kingdom, our reporter sat at her table for more than an hour with no characters stopping by. So here's a quick play-by-play of what happened. As she was seated, Tigger and Piglet had just passed her table. Her server said it'd be okay, they'd be the last characters she would see, but they'd come back around later on. Fine, easy, this happens at a lot of character meals, but by the time she'd completely finished her meal and even went back for seconds, she'd been there for more than an hour and hadn't seen any characters, not a single one. So how did she handle this? Well, our reporter calmly mentioned to her server, who immediately reported the problem to a manager. And after a quick chat with the restaurant, Tigger, Piglet, and Eeyore came in fairly quick succession to her table. So ultimately, the team at Crystal Palace was very kind and accommodating. But if you ever find yourself with an issue similar to this in the future, and maybe it'll be more difficult for you if you've got kids who are very, very excited to meet the 100-acre wood pals and then get back into Magic Kingdom, so you don't want to sit there for an hour waiting, make sure to be patient and courteous, but definitely mention it to your server. Sometimes the characters won't stop at your table right away because of the way their rotation works, but if you go more than an hour without seeing them and they're not on their way, it might be a good idea to speak up in case you were accidentally skipped. Okay, be careful not to make the mistake of mixing up your mugs. For context, Disney World hotels offer resort refillable mugs for you to purchase and use for free refills throughout your vacation at participating Disney Resort quick services. So what's the problem? Allow us to lay out a scenario for you. Say you're traveling with a family of 5 and everyone in the group wants a mug. Well, depending on the availability, you may end up buying 2 of the same exact mug, since the only real differentiating factor with these is the color of the lid. And there are only 4 of them, and it can be hard to tell them apart, especially if you have 2 of the same color. Oh, and you might also want to keep a close eye on your mug when you're dining at the food court or in the parks or you're at the pool. You're probably one of a dozen other people around you using the same mug. Like we said, they're hard to tell apart, especially if you set it down. The good news, we have a solution. Well, actually, we have 2 solutions. Even better, right? The first, more economical but also more boring option is to pack a Sharpie and put your initials on the cup. Simple yet effective. But solution number 2 is a little more fun and bling-worthy. You can purchase wine charms and attach them to the handles of your refillable mugs to make them much easier to differentiate and make your cup that much cuter. All right, I hate to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but there is really no way for you to do everything in the parks and hotels in one trip. In fact, you may go on 100 Disney trips and not be able to see and do it all. There are specialty tours, tons of rides, shows, experiences, so many restaurants, gazillions of snacks. No matter how hard you push yourself, you won't be able to be a completionist, especially all in one trip. So take a deep breath and accept that there will always be more to do and see, and relax a little. Pick out the main things that are on your must-do list for your trip, and if you get in a few extra things, great. If not, also great. We've seen way too many families at the parks go non-stop from open to close without stopping for a break, which tends to lead to a good number of parents having a meltdown right alongside their kids. We've been there, we've done it. So this is my friendly reminder. Slow down, take time to enjoy the memories you're creating, and don't push yourself and your family to the limit. Speaking of stretching yourself too thin, if you've got a pretty meticulous schedule for your Disney World trip and you're afraid that a spontaneous break or two is going to throw the whole thing off, then throw the whole thing off. Schedules are important, but it's also important to factor in a little wiggle room during the day just in case you need to get off your feet before the next big chunk of the theme park experience happens. How about this? We'll give you some free Disney World planning worksheets to help you figure out your theme park schedules if you promise me that you'll only use them as a guideline and not straight up gospel that you can't deviate from. Deal? Deal. All right, now that you've pinky promised me, you don't remember doing that? We totally pinky promised. Go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen now or head to disneyfoodblog.com/disneyplans to pick up your free planning worksheets today. Now, this probably could apply to any Disney World thrill ride, but it seems to be happening a lot more often on Epcot's high-speed coaster lately. Take off your hats and glasses on Cosmic Rewind, y'all. Despite warnings about removing loose articles, lots of guests are coming off Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind missing their baseball caps and sunglasses and mini ears. Why are you wearing sunglasses anyway? It's a dark ride. So before you start spinning your way through the cosmos, make sure you take off all those extra accessories and secure them elsewhere. There is a small compartment that'll be in the front of your ride seat where you should be able to tuck them safely away, or you can just stow them in your park bag for safekeeping too. I tend to prefer the latter strategy because I always forget about the stuff in that little ride vehicle pocket and I always lose my sunglasses. Luckily, I never spend more than $10 on a pair of sunglasses, but still, it's $10. Ooh, time to talk Epcot festivals. Don't assume they're going to look the same in the future. We still don't have a lot of details about Epcot's festivals from here on out, but one thing we do know, we're already getting surprised, and we expect them to look very different. For starters, Disney's moved the first date of the 2024 Food and Wine Festival back to August 29th, which was around the time the festival started before 2020. And that means, unless Disney hits us with a big and out-of-the-blue surprise real soon, we're not going to have an Epcot festival for the majority of the summer. But the absolute biggest change coming to the festivals from here on out is all thanks to the brand new Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza, two new areas in Epcot that have been constructed to act as additional venues for each festival. Communicore Plaza is an outdoor space where you can watch live festival entertainment, and Communicore Hall has been built strictly for festival programming, meaning we might see the return of food demonstrations and seminars, including those with celebrity chefs, for this year's Food and Wine Festival. Only time will tell. They won't announce anything. I don't know why. They hate me, maybe. Now, at either rate, plan to budget back a little more moolah if you want to experience food and wine to its fullest this year, because if the seminars do return, they'll more than likely come back with a big ol' extra cost to tack onto your visit. Okay, don't forget to have some backup. Even if you got a dream hotel in mind for your next Disney World vacation, allow yourself to dream about a second hotel too, just in case that first one doesn't work out. Let's say you've been planning to splurge on a stay at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge with a Savannah view for years. It's a bucket list item. You finally planned the trip where you're going to do it, but you go to book the room and there are no available rooms for your dates. Or how about this? You've been eyeing a specific discount on the Disney World website for a while, thinking it's the perfect way to help you save some money at that bucket list hotel. So you go to book it and just kidding, your hotel isn't eligible for the deal. Looking at you, Polynesian Village Resort. Or what about when you've budgeted a stay in a certain room, but when you go to book, prices are astronomical and not at all what you budgeted for? These are just a few of the most common heartbreaks we see and hear of happening constantly in Disney World when it comes to hotels. It's a busy vacation spot, so it's almost impossible to gauge when your preferred rooms will be available or have a discount you can apply to them. While nothing will be exactly like the hotel room you were looking to stay in, you can always have a plan B in your back pocket. Here, we're going to give you a springboard to work with. While Art of Animation and Pop Century have different theming, both are value resorts with larger-than-life icons and decor, so both are great alternatives for each other. They're also both located on the same Skyliner station for easy access to Hollywood Studios and Epcot. Oh, and their food courts are almost identical these days. Can't book at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort? Check out a cabin at Disney's Fort Wilderness or a room at Disney's Wilderness Lodge for unique theming that's geared toward the outdoors. And if you're unable to book at Disney's Boardwalk Inn, the Yacht and Beach Club resorts are still within walking distance to Epcot. Just remember, if you need to stay at a different hotel than originally planned, there's nothing stopping you from resort hopping and checking out the other resorts you were wanting to book in the first place. While you won't be able to walk into any rooms or swim in the pools, you can still snap photos all around the hotels and take in their other offerings like gift shops and restaurants and daily activities too. This next one is a mistake that is near and dear to my heart because I make it all the time. It's not just Disney transportation that hits the hay at the end of the night. It's Disney dining too. Disney World doesn't have any restaurants that stay open 24 hours a day. At least not anymore. They used to pre-COVID, but that time is gone. If the late night hunger pangs hit you, there are some options on property that may still be able to hook you up with a nighttime meal. If you're staying at a Disney World hotel, for instance, you got several convenient options to grab a bite late at night. Many of the Disney resorts have food courts that stay open until 11 p.m. These spots typically offer a variety of quick service meals and snacks when you're in a pinch. And if you're looking for a more relaxed atmosphere, check out your hotel's lounges where you can enjoy light bites and beverages. And while these aren't open 24 hours, they usually stay open until 11 p.m., which makes them a great option for a late night snack or a nightcap. If you'd like something a bit faster than a lounge, don't sleep on the grab-and-go counters since they tend to stay open until 11 as well, and they're stocked with snacks and beverages and pre-packaged meals. These are perfect for grabbing something for a meal in your room. Now, if you're looking for a wider variety beyond what your hotel offers, Disney Springs has a ton of restaurants and shops that typically stay open until 11 p.m. And while reservations might not be available super late, you can usually snag a table or grab something to go around 10:45. Then there's always the option of ordering something outside the Disney bubble. Food delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats are 24-hour that bring food over to your hotel lobby no matter what time of night you're looking to grab some grub. Just remember that these delivery services won't be able to deliver fast food from a location that's already closed for the night, obviously, so you'll want to check on those restaurant hours outside the Disney bubble too. And after I made this mistake multiple times and had to end up eating a very, very sad saran wrap sandwich from the gas station, I started to bring my own kind of little lunchbox with me when I go to Disney World and stay in a hotel. So I kind of make some wraps that I just put in Ziploc bags, and as soon as I get to my hotel, I put them in the refrigerator. So if I get home really, really late and nothing is open, I can just grab one of those and my stomach isn't yelling at me all night long. Okay, this is a really important one. Don't skip an experience because of someone else's opinion. This mistake has threatened to trip me up a few times because it really does take a mental toll. If you're told over and over and over again that a certain Disney experience is not worth your time, you might wind up believing that and end up skipping out on something you could have really loved. I think the new Luminous Nighttime Spectacular at Epcot is a good example of this. People are pretty split down the middle when it comes to this show. Some think it's meh because there are no character projections like Harmonious used to have. Some think it's beautiful because it relies on music and fireworks to solely tell the story. But if you're only listening to the people who think it's meh, you may skip out on a show that could have very well become your new favorite. Rely on your heart, read the reviews for these shows and restaurants, but take it all with a grain of salt. You are the only deciding factor for you in the end because you know what you like. And don't forget it. It's time to give your phone the jaws of life to keep it from dying on ya. Even if you start your park day with 100% charge on your phone, more than likely you're going to drain that pretty quickly with all the My Disney Experience app usage and photos and video recordings. But what if you don't have your own charger? Or maybe you've forgotten your charging cord? Good news, there's a fix to this problem right in the parks and resorts. It's available at more locations than you might think. Fuel rods are those portable chargers for your electronics. They can be purchased at kiosks around Disney World, and each purchase comes with a fully charged fuel rod with charging cables for various iPhone or micro USB Android devices, and a USB-C adapter needed for some Android devices. The initial cost is $30 plus tax, but once your fuel rod runs out of juice, you can swap it for a charged one at any fuel rod station on property for free. You'll also find fuel rod stations in airports and malls and other theme parks, so you can use it once you leave Disney World. But these other kiosks outside the parks may have added fees for each swap out. This was a big issue a while back when the Disney fuel rod locations tried to charge people $3 to change their fuel rod, and everybody fought back, and now they're free again, thank goodness. But by the way, if you want to save money on fuel rods, you can actually purchase them on Amazon for way cheaper before your trip. That's right, they're not the same cost everywhere that you buy them. So go to Amazon, get them $35 for a pack of 2 instead of $30 for 1 on Disney property, and you'll still be able to swap them out at any Disney kiosk for free. If you want to find a fuel rod station near you while you're in the parks, just type fuel rod or phone charging in the My Disney Experience search engine. So don't wear costumes that are way too hot, y'all. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is one of the only times that kids and adults can get dressed up in costumes, and people tend to go all out. We've seen some pretty epic outfits from folks, but there's one thing you need to seriously think about if you're heading to the party. Disney World is in Central Florida, and Central Florida is real hot during the summer months. Even later into October, the heat can still be unrelenting. If you have a costume you've been dying to wear, consider what the temperature will be like on the date of your visit. Wearing a princess gown and wig is an absolute clutch move, deserving of respect, but getting heat stroke when you're trying to have some spooky fun, not the main goal. We know your costume is really just that incredible and you need to show it off, at least for a little bit. But consider bringing your costume with you, changing into it, maybe even after the sun goes down. Try to modify your costume if at all possible to keep you a little bit cooler. And remember, you can always stash your extra clothes in one of the lockers so you don't have to carry things around with you while you trick or treat. Or just do what I always do and wear scrubs and be a doctor. Super breathable and comfy. Okay, don't miss out on those popular lightning lanes. They do sell out. They will sell out. Aside from Tiana's Bayou Adventure, there are a handful of lightning lanes that you'll want to prioritize if you're using Disney Genie Plus, since they tend to book up faster than others. Some could even book up solid for the day before you get the chance to snag one for yourself, especially on busy park days. Remember to purchase Genie Plus early so you can start booking lightning lanes early too. Genie Plus can be added to your ticket starting at midnight on the day of your visit. However, you can't book your first lightning lane until 7 a.m., so set your alarms and be ready to book right at 7. So which rides do you need to grab lightning lanes for first? In Epcot, Frozen Ever After and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure will be your top 2 lightning lane options. Soarin' can also be a good one to grab a lightning lane for early as well, and Test Track. In Hollywood Studios, Slinky Dog Dash needs to be your priority. Then consider booking lightning lanes for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Tower of Terror. In Animal Kingdom, you'll probably have an easier time getting all the lightning lanes you want, but it's still a good idea to grab Navi River Journey, Kilimanjaro Safaris, and Kali River Rapids first. And in Magic Kingdom, make sure to grab lightning lanes for Peter Pan's Flight, Jungle Cruise, Space and Big Thunder Mountains, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, of course. Now, do not forget about this under the radar transportation. Dude, do not forget the Epcot boat. You can friendship boat between Canada and Morocco to get you across the World Showcase in just 5 minutes. Sure, the wait time for the boat alone might be a bit grueling, but if you see one of these boats already docked and ready to take guests across the lagoon, it can save you lots of time as well as energy. Once upon a time, Epcot actually had a second World Showcase friendship boat that'd take you from Germany to Mexico, but that one's been down for the count for a good long while now. However, we're going to keep an eye on it, let you know when it returns. Okay, don't make the mistake of not paying attention to the park hours. So park hours in Disney World can make or break your trip. I know we talk about this a lot. It's real important though, because there are times that I end up in Disney World and I didn't check that stuff and it gets me every time. That's why you'll want to keep an eye on the park hours as your trip gets closer. Disney reserves the right to change their operating hours whenever they want to, for whatever reason, and that can either play in your favor or against you. For instance, there are many events at Disney World throughout the year, like holiday parties or cast member appreciation nights, which might be added to the park calendar after you booked your trip. These events mean that the parks will close earlier to make time for them, which is awesome, but it might not be so awesome if you bought full price general admission for the day and are still expected to head out of the park as early as 5 or 6 p.m. This is happening in Hollywood Studios in just a couple of days. It's good practice to keep checking on the park hours for the date of your trip every once in a while. You might also want to invest in a park hopper ticket if you see that the park times have changed, but you don't necessarily want to switch up your trip's whole schedule. This way, when one park closes early, you can hop on over to another park that stays open later. On the other hand, Disney doesn't just shorten park hours, they can also extend them. Sometimes during busier seasons, Disney will change the operating hours on the calendar to extend how long you're allowed to be in the parks. No extra ticket needed. This could add tons of extra time to your day, if your aching feet will allow for that, that is. Speaking of, I've said it before and I'll say it again, think very carefully about the shoes you bring to Disney World. You'll want something comfortable, already broken in, and able to handle a lot of walking on pavement, because Disney World is not the place to break in a new pair of shoes. Please don't do that. And bring a spare pair of shoes if you can. It can be really nice to have a spare pair of super dry shoes if your sneakers get soggy during the day, so you don't have to walk around in moist feet wear for multiple days on end. It's awful. Aside from water concerns, changing your shoes can also give your feet a bit of a change up to help them not feel too worn out after the thousands of steps you're going to be taking each and every day of your trip. Oh, and don't forget the socks. Socks can ruin your trip if they're too tight, too small. They can lead to blisters or get soggy from rain. So if you do socks, if you're not one of those people that does exclusively like hiking sandals, bring more socks than you think you'll need, just in case. Also underpants. And let's head back to closures here. Let's get a little more specific. Not every restaurant, shop, and attraction closes when the parks do. This one can really mess with you, y'all. So pay attention. Get off your phone. Okay, so you're gonna want to be extra careful when you leave certain theme park experiences until the last half of your day. Here are just a few early attraction closures we've stumbled upon in the parks recently that you'll want to keep your eye out for. In Magic Kingdom, the Friar's Nook quick service, where you can find loaded tots and bratwurst, closes each day around 5. Big Top Souvenirs and Storybook Circus closes up shop around 7. In Animal Kingdom, 8 Spoon Cafe, our favorite little kiosk that serves up that amazing baked mac and cheese, closes around 5, and Harambe Market can close as early as 3:15 each day. Kilimanjaro Safaris closes around 7 p.m. so the animals can start getting ready for bed. In Hollywood Studios, Pizza Rizzo, which serves all those puffy personal pizzas on the fly, closes at 5 p.m. daily. Ronto Roasters closes even earlier than that at 3 p.m., though you can still pick up the traditional Ronto wraps over at Docking Bay 7 after this little quick service closes up shop. And across all the parks, meet and greets tend to wrap up around 5 p.m. if not earlier, so you'll definitely want to check the My Disney Experience app to make sure you don't miss out on seeing one of your favorite friends. What happens when the A-tier ride that you paid specifically to skip over the main line for shuts down unexpectedly? Do you just call that $10 to $20 per person a loss? No, do not do this. If you happen to find yourself with an individual Lightning Lane ride that closes, you'll get an experience redemption, which is basically a boarding pass that lets you ride that attraction any time of the day after it reopens. For example, let's say you pay for the individual Lightning Lane option for Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios. The ride goes down, so you're not able to ride it during the time you were told to return. Not to scare you or anything, but that's not an unrealistic hypothetical scenario just there. If this happens, you'll get something called an experience redemption on your My Disney Experience app, which basically is a Lightning Lane that's good for the entire day and will let you get in the Lightning Lane for that ride once it's back up and running again, whenever that may be. You can also get an experience redemption pass for your Genie Plus Lightning Lanes if something similar happens. But the experience redemptions you get from Genie Plus cannot get you on an individual Lightning Lane attraction. Got all that? Good. But let's add another element to all of this. Let's say the individual Lightning Lane ride never goes back online. Then what happens? That's when you qualify for a refund. Make your way to guest relations and ask for a refund if the ride doesn't reopen or if it's announced that the ride will be closed for the rest of the day. Don't take the L on that money. Your Disney World trip wouldn't be possible without one group of people, the cast members. Even Mickey Mouse himself can't run the parks all by his lonesome, so we're super thankful for all the people who put their heart and soul into making our vacation days that much better. Now, if you encounter a cast member that goes the extra mile during your trip, believe me, there are a lot of them, and you want to make sure they're recognized for that, you can give special personalized recognition to cast members through the My Disney Experience app. Just tap on the 3 horizontal lines at the bottom of your app screen and scroll to the bottom row of options until you find the cast compliments section. From here, you can enter the reason for your compliment, the location, name, hometown, and date of your interaction. And don't worry if you don't remember the cast member's name. You can still leave them a compliment by describing the location, and the Disney team will know who to reach out to from there. And then your cast member is actually going to get a personalized recognition of that compliment. It's awesome. So question, how comfortable are mini ears really when you're spending a whole day wearing them in the parks? Well, that's a toughie. Some styles might be totally fine all day long, but not all mini ear headbands are created equal. I've had mini headbands that squeezed my temples and gave me major headaches, not even an hour into the day, but I've also had headbands that were comfy enough that I forgot I was wearing them after a while. Before purchasing that pricey pair of ears, make sure to try them on first and see how they fit. While you don't want that pair of ears to be too loose on you, you also don't want it pressing too tightly in the wrong places so that your $30 purchase turns out to be a wash. You also might find that while a pair of mini ears is fine at first, they're not fine after a while, especially when you're already hot and cranky, so everything's 10 times more uncomfortable than it was before. If that ends up being the case, it might be a good idea to give your mini ears a breather for a bit and stow them away in your bag during the heat of the afternoon. If your bag's not big enough to carry your mini ears, which tends to be the case for most Loungefly styles, then you may want to look into a mini headband bag holder before your trip. These clips will keep your mini headbands safe while you're not wearing them, and that includes when you have to take them off for the rides as well. You can get a pack of 2 on Amazon right now for around $10. So several Magic Kingdom quick service spots have great eats, but not nearly enough seating, which makes things challenging. Casey's Corner, for instance, is perhaps the most famous spot with this problem since it's right on the corner of Main Street, USA, and its tables are nearly always full. If you're struggling to find a place to sit down and eat your corn dog nugs, you can always carry your snackage over to the nearby Tomorrowland Terrace table, since this quick service restaurant is currently closed during the day, but still offers up a whole lot of covered seating. Other places that have this issue are Cheshire Cafe, Gaston's Tavern, and the Friar's Nook, which are all inside Fantasyland. If you order a snack from one of these, you may want to carry your food back to Storybook Circus since there are several tables near Pete's Silly Sideshow that are often unoccupied. Some of them are in the shade. So there's a right way to pack for Disney and a wrong way to pack, but we're going to nip the wrong way in the bud right now for you. For starters, try to avoid packing way more outfits than you're gonna need. Not talking about underpants, always more underpants than you need, but not necessarily outfits. At most, we suggest packing one extra shirt or top and one extra pair of bottoms, but other than that, one outfit for each day is probably perfect. Along with your pajamas, a light jacket just in case it's chilly, a rain poncho or jacket unless you're bringing an umbrella, or bring both, I don't know, it gets really rainy. All those underpants, I always bring like twice the amount of underpants I need. And sometimes I go through all of them, and socks, and you'll have plenty to fill up your suitcase with. But what kind of shirts are the right kind of shirts to bring? Oh, you know, something light, something comfortable, something totally cute and unique. Something like one of our many shirt styles featured on dfbstore.com right now. Yeah, did you know we sold more than just guidebooks? Because we totally do. We got styles and sizes, colors and designs for all types of Disney folk, even for the kids in your group too. So make sure to check out our wares when you get the chance. Thanks in advance for supporting the channel. Okay, now that we've packed our outfits, let's move on to other important packing matters at hand. A water bottle is an absolute necessity for a Disney park day, but it has to be a good water bottle. Some can end up fighting against you in the end, like the ones that don't keep your cold drinks cold for very long, or the ones that end up sweating or leaking all over your bag. Few of our DFB reporters have been carrying around those Owalo water bottles from Amazon lately, and they've been really digging those. They're lightweight, stainless steel, and come in a lot of different colors too. And while it's a-okay to bring your own snacks into the parks, and we recommend it because you save some cash that way, don't attempt to bring in snacks that will melt or go bad if they're not refrigerated. And if you're afraid you're gonna crush your little snacks before you have the chance to eat them, reusable snack bags and bento boxes are great tools to help you preserve them so you can dip into them between rides. So stick with me here, you might not want to wear white in Disney World. This isn't an after Labor Day rule, this is more of a just be careful what you pack rule. Unless you've pre-treated your clothes with stain repellent the same way you've treated your expensive couch at home, you might be better off leaving the white clothing back home. Now, I get it, white is a cooler color to wear when it comes to literal heat absorption, so that's a reason why you might want to wear it, or you can just go with lighter colors. But Disney World is full of melting chocolate, drippy popsicles, who knows whatever that liquid was that you sat in while riding Dumbo. And there are so many recipes for disaster once you've added white clothing into the equation. So if you want to risk it anyway, then it might not be a bad idea to carry around a bleach pen or a Tide pen if you end up accidentally staining a white piece of clothing during your day. You can find those pretty cheap at your local big box store for around $3 to $4. I always have one in every park bag. There are so many places to eat around Disney World, but when you're in the middle of your park day and everyone's starving, you might just have to settle on the first place you see. But you don't have to settle. Not when you've got the DFB squad to help you out ahead of time. Nobody has to eat at Sunset Ranch Market on my watch unless they really, really want to. If you don't want to be caught like a deer in headlights when it comes to where to eat on vacation, our DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining 2024 can be a great tool to help point you in the right direction. Our 3-part guide has over 900 pages of Disney dining and planning information, tips, and more. So if you want to pick up a guide for yourself or for a friend as a little congrats you're going to Disney gift, head over to dfbstore.com. Be sure to type in code YouTube to apply an extra discount to your total purchase. Even if you're not planning on going to Disney World in the summer when the sun's ablazing, still wear the sunscreen. Nope, don't just wear it. Keep wearing it, because if you lather the stuff on at the beginning of the day, it's going to fade away later on and you will need to reapply. So set an alarm to remind yourself when it's time to get all coated in the SPF again, or consider investing in some of those UV stickers like you can find on Amazon, and you can stick them onto your shoulder or wrist or somewhere you can easily see that'll remind you when it's time to reapply. These stickers will blend in with your skin when you're wearing enough UV protection, but will quickly turn a deep shade of purple when it starts to fade away. Okay, don't get caught by security in Disney World. This sounds worse than it actually is, I promise you. What I'm talking about here is not getting flagged by those security checks. It can just be such a waste of time. Security checks will have you walk through an advanced scanning device to make sure you're not carrying any prohibited items as you go into a park or Disney Springs. However, sometimes items that are totally fine to have in the parks will set off the scanners, and then you will be subjected to a very thorough bag check, which takes forever. Items like umbrellas, large phone chargers, multiple fuel rods, tins of mints, and metal water bottles could all trigger those security check devices. So if you have any of those, pull them out of your bag before you walk through the scanner and hold them out in front of you so cast members know exactly what's setting the system off. It still might not work. Every time I bring my laptop into a Disney park, I always hold it out, but I still set off the scanner and they still want to check my bag. So it may not work, but it has worked for many of our reporters. So I hate that heart-dropping feeling when you realize you've left your phone somewhere other than where you thought it was. It's the pits. I've left my phone on the top of toilet paper dispensers before, in a minivan, at the edge of sinks, and at the restaurant table. And at some point you'd think I'd learned my lesson. I actually left my driver's license at Via Napoli once and then had to figure out how to fly home without it. So what happens if you lose your phone somewhere in Disney and retracing your steps doesn't work? Well, often cast members will hold on to lost items for a short period of time before sending them on to guest relations or lost and found. If it's been a few hours since you lost the item, or if cast members haven't recovered your item, go to the nearest guest experience location, look for the blue umbrellas, or visit guest relations near the entrance of the park you're in. They'll be able to point you in the right direction in terms of next steps. And those next steps are most likely going to be lost and found. Disney's Lost and Found is huge. People lose a lot of stuff in the parks, but there is an extensive system that documents each lost item. And that's great. I'm so happy Disney does that. But because the system is so vast and extensive, it can take a few days for your phone or lost item to be cataloged, and even longer before it's returned to you. So it's best if you can report it as lost as quickly as possible. There's an online form you can go to on chargerback.com where you can report your missing item ASAP, and Disney will do its best to find it. The best thing about the Chargerback website is that you'll be kept updated on the status of your item too, even if you have to head back home from vacation. And when your item is found, Disney will mail it back to you at no extra charge. So please don't forget to link your friends and family in My Disney Experience before you go to Disney World. You're going to find yourself dealing with a big headache if you don't have all the members of your family or group linked up on MDE, because if you have to do that when you get there, it's going to waste a lot of your park time. This will especially come in handy when you're trying to nab those Genie Plus lightning lanes or boarding groups for virtual queues. Well ahead of your trip, download the My Disney Experience app and make sure you've set up your own account with your hotel reservations, ticket information, etc. Then make sure you've got all your family and friends that you're traveling with connected as well. If your fam and friends have their own My Disney Experience profiles, you can link to them to set up your family and friends list. You can search for your group members on the Add Family and Friends page by searching their name, phone number, and email address, as long as they've chosen to make themselves searchable. And if they haven't, you can still add them through their personal QR code or linking code, which they can pull up for you underneath their profile. If you got members of the group who don't have their own profiles, either ask them to download the app and create them, or you can create profiles for them and manage their plans that way instead. This is a great way to make sure you can get everybody on the same dining reservations before you leave, and then it'll be all set up and ready to go when you've got to grab those virtual queues. So as you know, the weather in Florida can notoriously turn on a dime. So it's important to make sure you have quick access to up-to-date weather information. While daily or hour-by-hour forecasts might help with planning things like what outfit to wear, a minute-by-minute weather app is key for keeping track of when severe weather is expected to hit and where. So find a minute-by-minute weather app that you like and familiarize yourself with how to use it before your trip if possible. That way, you'll know how to navigate the parks to go along with the predicted weather patterns. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when storms hit Disney World, outdoor attractions are closed for the safety of guests and cast members. While the rain can obviously strike at any time, storms are most common during the afternoon, especially during the summer months when it rains nearly every day. Sometimes outdoor attractions will open later on if the severe weather passes, but if the storms stick around, outdoor rides might remain closed for the rest of the day. If you see a chance of storms in the forecast, be sure to ride any must-do outdoor attractions as early as you can to get ahead of the ruckus. Okay, this is another one that can really set you back in your park day. Don't expect your room to be ready right when you arrive. Did you get into Orlando early for your first day of vacation like you should? Great. Just don't expect to move into your room just yet. Disney World hotel check-in time is 3 p.m. for hotel rooms, 4 p.m. for deluxe villas. If you arrive before that, your room more than likely won't be ready for you, and I haven't had some of my rooms ready till like 6 p.m. Disney will try to accommodate you if you arrive early, but there's a very good chance they won't be able to squeeze you in anywhere just yet. It's no biggie, you can still get a head start on your vacation regardless. Just leave your luggage with the hotel concierge, then go hit up the pool or go to the parks or do some shopping and eating around Disney Springs. And don't forget, in 2025, you get a free water park ticket on your arrival day if you stay in a Disney hotel. So maybe pack your swimsuit and your towel in your carry-on and leave the luggage with Bell Services and head on over to Typhoon Lagoon. Now listen, if you have a lot of bags and luggage to take to your room, do not hesitate to ask a cast member to help you get a luggage cart. Disney World hotels are huge, and you do not want to be lugging heavy bags all the way to your room, especially if it's far away from the hotel's front desk. The luggage carts are your friend, so if you need one, be sure to ask for one. Okay, so do not ask a character to autograph your face. This is a mistake you should avoid. Mickey can't autograph your forehead or your hand or your foot or even the shirt you're wearing. In fact, he can't autograph any skin or clothing that a guest is currently wearing. No character can. So if you want a character to sign your shirt or some other article of clothing, bring it with you in your park bag and pull it out when you get to the meet and greet. But what else is a Mickey taboo? Well, Mickey also cannot and will not hold your baby, pose in a way that's uncharacteristic, so no Charlie's Angels with the big cheese, or help you with things like proposals and gender reveals, as in he can't hold the ring or sonogram or anything like that, but you can still stand next to him with those items in a photo if you'd like. Ooh, I love this one. Do not forget about the other Food and Wine Festival. There's not just one Food and Wine Festival that happens in Disney World each year. There are two. The Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic is returning for its 15th year this November. This event will be held at the titular hotels on November 15th and 16th from 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. each night. There are two primary options to purchase tickets for the Food and Wine Classic: single night tickets or 2-night bundles. The first is an individual event ticket that costs $208.13, including taxes and fees, and this includes culinary selections from our award-winning restaurants and beverages from around the world, all amidst a festive backdrop of live entertainment. That's a quote-unquote, of course, but basically what this means is you can eat as much as you want and drink as much as you want for that ticket price. A lot of people wish Epcot would do this, that you could just pay one ticket price and eat and drink as much as you want. They haven't done that for a long time. So the Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic is where that dream comes true. Now the second ticket option is a 2-night bundle, which includes everything I just said, both Friday and Saturday nights. This bundle ticket costs $353.94. And it's a 15% discount in celebration of the event's 15th year. While this event is open to those not staying at the hotel, the Swan and Dolphin are offering discounted room rates for festival attendees. Want to take advantage of this? Call the hotel to make reservations directly and mention the food and wine rate while booking. Okay, here's a big mistake that a lot of people make, and I wish they wouldn't, so we're just gonna throw it in here. Do not feed the birds. There might be a Mary Poppins song that encourages you otherwise, but I'm here to warn you, please don't feed the birds, no matter how big their begging anime eyes get. Outdoor restaurants like Flame Tree Barbecue in Animal Kingdom, Yorkshire County Fish Shop in Epcot, Casey's Corner and Magic Kingdom get flocked by all sorts of feathered friends, and maybe the occasional brave squirrel as well. Now, Disney highly encourages you not to feed them because the birds will start getting more aggressive when it comes to their demands. Believe me, I've seen it. They are terrifying. So if you're concerned about a super sneaky bird thief, consider placing a clean plate or napkin on top of your food while transporting it to your seat, and most importantly, be aware of your surroundings. You can also opt for restaurants with indoor seating if the idea of being anywhere near a begging big-eyed bird while eating is going to be too tempting for you. So whether it be taking a flash photo during the seance scene in Haunted Mansion or just flat out having your phone out and scrolling through Instagram throughout the entirety of your Under the Sea Voyage of the Little Mermaid journey, a glowing phone during a super dark ride isn't just something the phone user can see, but everyone can see. And that really breaks the immersion for other folks who are just trying to enjoy the ride because they paid a lot of money to do so. Remember, there are select Disney rides that actually have in-ride photo ops that you can get after the ride concludes. They'll even be free for you to download if you're using Disney Genie Plus that day. But otherwise, if you or someone in your group really isn't all that interested in riding something, then maybe it's best that they sit this one out to have a snack or sit in the shade. Check up on their social media pages elsewhere. Okay, don't rope drop when it doesn't make sense. All right, I get that rope dropping is super beneficial. I talk about it all the time. But when you're getting up super early every single day of your trip and staying up from sunup till sundown in the parks, your group is liable to burn out all that adrenaline they started the vacation with. So strategize the days you really want to get into the parks right at opening and consider sleeping in a little bit on the other days just to make sure everyone's recharged and raring to go. Because more sleep equals fewer emotional breakdowns. Believe me on this one. Okay, heads up on this one, y'all. You exist at the same time as chili cheese corn dog nuggets exist in Disney World, and if that's not enough to get you through the day, I don't know what is. Right now over at Contempo Cafe in the Contemporary Resort, you can order the chili cheese corn dog nuggets covered in queso, mustard, green onions, and house-made chili for $11. You get a pretty good amount of corn dog nuggets for the price, and each one of them is completely smothered in those savory toppings. Although the toppings do make the breading around the nuggets pretty soft, it doesn't completely compromise the integrity of these nugs. So you can still pick them up if you don't mind getting a little messy, or you can opt for a fork. Now I know this is like one of the only food items that we're talking about in this video, but I promise I like and sometimes love a lot of other food items. So please check out our other videos. If you're new to the DFB guide, go ahead and subscribe. Go check out our playlists. We talk about food a lot. We'd love to share more of it with you. Now, don't make the mistake of planning your dream Disney vacation and forgetting about everybody else. I know you. I know you because you're here, you've watched this entire video, and I know that you're busy scheming up the best day ever for your whole group. And that's fantastic. We need people who are willing to step up to the plate and shoulder a lot of the planning. But don't forget, you don't have to shoulder this alone, nor should you. If you're going to Disney World with family, friends, or another group, you're going to want to work together to get the dream vacation that everybody wants, or at least a vacation that takes everyone's wants and needs into account. That means including your travel pals in some of those key planning stages. Before you make that hotel reservation and book 50 dining reservations, an exaggeration, right? Tell me I'm right. Talk to your group. Is there a hotel they've got their hearts set on staying in? Is there a restaurant they absolutely must eat at on this trip? What rides do they want to get on, and what rides will they absolutely not do? Knowing each person's priorities and likes and dislikes and goals for their trip can help you plan a trip that'll make everyone happy at least part of the time. All that said, I've gone to Disney World with people who genuinely do not care. And so I just planned my favorite trip, but make sure that they give the okay for that. One last important note for y'all, sometimes we can plan ahead for these Disney World mistakes and we either still find ourselves getting tripped up by them or we come across brand new mistakes that we didn't know we needed to anticipate. This happens to me all the time, but that's why we're always making new videos and posts and social media updates all year round on our DFB pages, so you can continue to feel informed instead of blindsided by new and classic Disney mistakes alike. We go in every single day and we make all the mistakes so that you don't have to. And don't forget, we want to help you out even after this video wraps up by giving you free Disney World planning worksheets. Head over to disneyfoodblog.com/DisneyPlans so we can send those to your inbox faster than you can say chili cheese corn dog nuggets. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.